Hey, this is Jerry from Bliz Studio, and in this demo, we have a lot going on. So what are we gonna do? We are going to be working on building out a level system with a few more levels. So how we're gonna do that is we're gonna create an array. After we've created a few levels, we're gonna add those levels to that array. That array is just a container saying, hey, here's all the levels. And then what we're gonna do is with our level manager, we're gonna pull one of those levels out, add it to the screen. The user will be able to play it. And then with that, we're then going to be able to destroy that game object and then add in the next level. And of course, we're gonna do a few other little cleanup things. And thanks to Grew Gadgets for a nice little tip. I'm gonna add that to the video. And if you're ready to start building out a level manager, let's go. Okay, so here we're back in Unity. And what I wanna do is I wanna go ahead and create some levels. But before I do that, I want to go ahead and set my levels up so that it's easy for us to go ahead and produce those, which we've already created one level, and within that level have the kind of the core guts all set up. But what I want to do is, thanks to a great comment by Grew Gadgets, so there's a great action that we can use called get child count. So what I'm going to do is in my initial setup of my level, so we're here, let me just go into my prefab real quick. So in my level setup, I have set initial or set int value. So that's the number of floor tiles that make up that particular level. So instead of hand putting those in, we can just have the get child count actually put that number in for us. So here we've got set int value, and I hard coded in 20 because that's the number of tiles that are there. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off. And then I'm gonna go ahead and use get child count. So I'll just double click on that, add that in here. I'm gonna go ahead and just move it to the top of the list. And so what I wanna do is get child count of my floors folder. So how many children are within that? So if I open that folder up, or if I open up that game object, you can see that I've got 20 tiles right there. I'm gonna go ahead and just specify game object. And then I wanna choose my floors folder. And then I want to store the result. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to store it in that global count level tile count. Okay. So instead of adding it here using this set int value, what's going to happen is this action is going to go in, find out how many floor tiles are there, and then add that number for me. So it makes it so I don't have to actually hand count those and put that number in. So that's a great tool. Thank you for that comment. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete that set int value. And here we're good with everything else. The next thing is we go and we're comparing that to see if those two are equal, and then complete. And then in the level complete, I had activate game object for my level complete UI. I went ahead and deleted that because what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a level manager, and within the level manager, that's where I'm going to activate that game object. So we'll come back to this here in a minute. So what I'm going to do is to go ahead and go back to my main scene. And before I kind of finish my level and then start building more levels, I want to go ahead and build out my level manager. Okay. So there's two empty game objects I want to go ahead and create. One is in my managers. So I want to go ahead and create an empty, and this is going to be my level manager. So level manager. And then I'm also going to go ahead and create a new empty just outside, and I'm going to call this levels. So again, just trying to stay organized. This is where my levels are going to go. And then inside of that, I also need to create a spawn point. So what I'm going to do is in my level manager, I'm going to create an array. An array is just a list of game objects or numbers or whatever. It's a list of something. And what I'm going to do is store all my prefabs of my levels in that array. And then my level manager is going to pick one out of that array and put it into the scene. Well, for me to be able to put it in the scene, I have to choose a location where that's put. And we're going to use a spawn point for that. Okay, so in my levels folder here, or game object, I'm going to go ahead and create a new empty game object inside of it. And I'm going to call this level spawn point. Okay, so this is where my levels are going to spawn. I'm just going to go ahead and make sure these are zeroed out. And then my spawn point, I want to spawn it in the exact same place as my level 1 because I'm going to build everything based off of that level 1. And the current position isn't at 0, 0. So I'm going to go ahead and store that location here in my spawn point, because this is the spawn point I want to generate, is at the current level 1 location. Okay, and then I'm going to eventually just delete this level 1. So here's my spawn point, and I've got my levels folder where the levels are going to be generated, and then I've got my level manager, which I haven't created a FSM for yet. So here we go. So let's go ahead and get this started. So the first thing I can do is to go ahead and add an FSM. So again, this is my level manager. And the first thing I think that we want to do is to create a new level. So create level. All right, so what am I gonna do? I'm gonna create a level. So let's go create empty object, or we want to create object. So I'm going to double click and add that in. And then it's saying, hey, what kind of game object do you want to create? Well, I want to use my prefab of my level 1 here and bring that in. And again, I'm just setting this up just to test it for the moment. Then it's saying, hey, what's the parent object? I want to use levels as the parent. And then the spawn point, I want to use my level spawn point. So I've got 3 little things right there I need to add. Now I'm going to go back and replace the game object, but for the moment I'm just going to use the level 1 as it is. Okay. And position, rotation, store object, we're fine with that. We don't need to do anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just turn off this level 1. Okay, so it's not there. It's still there in the scene, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab, when I hit play, it's going to grab the level from the prefabs and put it on the scene. Okay, so let's give that a try real quick. And so there we go. You can see that we now have level 1, which is a clone of the prefab in our scene. And let's give it a play real quick. And everything works as it should. Now, I don't have the UI popping up because I deleted that out of that level complete. But we know that the level manager is working the way we want it to. Okay, so now that I know that the level manager works, I need to do a couple different things. One is I need to go ahead and set up a global transition. So a global transition will allow us to open up the UI of the level complete. When we have actually completed a level. So let's go, and I want to add a new event. So again, I'm in my level manager, add a new event, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this level complete, because that's what it is we're wanting to accomplish. Now within the level manager, I want to go ahead and add a new global transition. So to do that, I'm going to hit right click or control click, and then add global transition, and you can see I've got level complete, which is the event that I just added. So level complete, and then I'm going to go ahead and just call this state level complete. And then with that, what I want to do is I want to activate that level complete UI. Okay, so let's go ahead and activate game object. Oops. Activate game object. And then what game object is it we want to activate? We want to activate our UI level complete. Okay, so we've got that set up. And then I'm going to just leave that set for the moment. We're going to have to do some other things here within our level manager, but this kind of gives us a starting point. Now I can go back to my level 1. And in the level complete state, again, I took the activate game object out of here, and I now moved it to my level manager. So for me to be able to target from here to my global transition of level complete, what I'm going to do for this is, one, I want to tag my level manager. Okay, so I want to go and tag my level manager, add tag. I'm going to add a tag of level manager, just in case we need it later on. And my level manager, I'm going to go ahead and just add the tag then. Cool. So I've got that set up. Now within our level manager, within the level complete, within the level, in the level complete state, I want to go ahead and send event by name. Okay, so I'm going to send event by name. Okay, so what I want to do is send an event by name. Now, because this level is a prefab, it's not going to be able to find the objects, or it's not going to be able to send an event to my level manager because it doesn't know where it's at, right? It's being generated into the scene. So I can't specify a FSM to target here just yet. So what I need to do is to first, when the level is generated, I need to go find that game object, which is the level manager. I'm gonna store that, and then here I'll be able to target it. Okay, so in our level setup, we want to do a find game object. Okay, so we're gonna find a game object. Again, this is kind of in my level setup. We're gonna find a game object. And what game object is it we want to find? Well, we want to find one that's with the tag of level manager. Okay, and then we're going to take that and we're going to store that in a variable. So we're going to create a new variable, and we'll just call this be level manager. And then in the level complete, where it's saying, hey, send an event by name, well, first we've already found it now. And so when that level is generated, it goes out and finds a game object with a tag of level manager, stores it in a FSM, or stores it in a variable. And then now here we're going to say specify game object, and we can use our variables for that. So we uncheck variable right there so we can get our little drop down, and boom, there we go with level manager. Okay. So when the level's generated in the setup, it's going to go out and find the game object of level manager, and then we're storing it and we're going to use it here. Okay, then the next thing is we need to send an event. So we set up that global transition. So if I go back to my level manager real quick, we've got the global transition of level complete. So let's just go ahead and copy that real quick, go back to our level, and that is the event that we want to send. So I'm going to go ahead and send the event of level complete. Now, if you have multiple FSMs on level manager, or whatever game object you're applying to, you need to, if you have more than one FSM, you can go ahead and specify an FSM name. Because I only have one FSM on this level manager, I'm not specifying. It's perfectly fine. Okay, and I don't need to do this every frame. So I'm just doing it once, okay? So I've got that set up. Let's go back to the scene. So let's go ahead and give this a test. So currently the level's not in the scene. And what I'm going to do, it's going to generate, it should go through level complete, and then it should target my level manager where it's going to do level complete. So let's give this a test real quick. And we've got our level manager here highlighted. So we'll see if that gets thrown, and then our level complete UI pops up. Okay, so our level's generated. So here we're at create level. Boom, there we go. So we can see that we can go out and find a game object, then use that game object to then store where that game object's at, and then we're using that other game object and targeting that FSM. Okay, so we have that set up. So let's go ahead and uncheck this real quick. And what I need to do is go ahead and build out a few levels. So I'm gonna take just a few minutes to build out a few levels really quick, and then we'll build our array. I'm gonna do this based off of my level 1. So what I need to really do is just kind of build out the floor tiles and then create the wall tiles around it, and then we should be good to go. Okay, so there we go. We've now created 3 different levels. So with those, you can see that there's different shapes. I have the ball starting in the same location because I've based it off of that first initial tile. I don't need that tile right there. Cool. So let's go ahead and go back to our manager. And here we need to go ahead and create an array. So in our create level, currently I have game object of level 1. Let's go ahead and I first need to go ahead and create a variable of an array. Okay, so again, an array is just a container of different types of information. So I'm going to create a new variable, and let's just call this levels. And then with that, what I want to do is to create an array. So you can see there's a bunch of different types of variables that we can create. One of those is an array, and I'm going to go ahead and add. Now with the array, we have different types of arrays. Okay, so float, int, bool, game object, all kinds of different stuff. And one of those is game object. So what we can do is store the levels that we created in our array, and then I can just grab levels out of that. So out of that array. So here we've got our variable, and the size is currently to 0, which means there's no game objects in it. And what I need to do is I have 3 levels. So let's just go ahead and add 3, which is the size of the array. And then you see I've got 3 different elements here. So what I can do is I can just drop those into that array. And then I'll have those levels stored. What I need to do with this, instead of specifying a specific level here, what I need to do is grab the array, grab one of those levels out of the array, store that, and then I'm going to use whatever I stored, that one specific level, here as my game object. Okay, so first we need to do an array, and you can see here's some options: array add, array clear, contains, deletes. So what we need to do is array get. Okay, so you can see there's 3 options here: array get next, array get random. So depending on how you want to read your levels into your game, so if you have 100 levels and you want those levels to be random, you'd want to use array get random. If you want to do them sequentially in order, you'd want to do array get next. Okay, in this case, I'm going to go ahead and just choose array get random, and I'm going to add that right above my create game object. Okay, so the array that I have is my levels. So that's the variable that I created that contains my levels. So this array right here has got those 3 levels. So I'm going to use that array, and then I need to store it. And here you can see here's level 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to store that in a new variable that just contains the one array that's going to contain the one level that I've chosen out of my array. So here we need to go a new variable. And let's go chosen level. And then here we've got some options. So no repeat, and then every frame. So we don't need to do every frame because we're only reading this in once. But I can say no repeat. So we can grab level 2 first. And then once we've played that, then we can go grab level 1 next. And then after that, grab level 3. And then once it's gone through and done the no repeats, then it'll go back and cycle through the process again. But in this case, we'll go ahead and leave this as no repeat, so check that on. And then here where we are creating a game object, again, we're grabbing one of those levels out of our array. We're storing what that chosen level is in our chosen level variable. And then here we need to go ahead and uncheck and use that chosen level variable, okay? And we're storing that, or creating that inside of our parent of levels, and then we're creating it at the point of our level spawn point. So currently I don't have a level in my scene, so you can see that. And what's going to happen if I hit play, it should bring in one of those levels. And there we go, it brought in level 1. That's perfectly fine. So let's go ahead and go through and complete this. We should bring up the UI. Boom, that works. Now the problem that we have is that I don't have a button to allow me to get to the next level. So let's go ahead and add that in real quick. So in my UI, I want to, let's go ahead and turn this on real quick. I need to add a button that says, you know, continue or next level. So let's go ahead and go UI, button text mesh pro. And so you can see my button here, it's really tiny. Let's go ahead and make that a lot bigger. Let's go click on it so we can see it. And I'm gonna go ahead and just move that down the screen. Let's go ahead and increase the size of that. And then the text, let's go ahead and choose next level. Let's maybe make that all caps. And of course we need to make that a little bit bigger and bold. And let's just increase the size just a little bit more. Yeah, that works. Cool. All right, so here in our level manager, we're in our level complete. We need to go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and do a level reset. So here I wanna go ahead and create a state, and let's do this. I'm gonna go ahead and, we're sitting here on level complete. I need to go ahead and grab my button, and let's just grab the button, put it in there, and let's do button and UI, and what we're gonna do is on button click event. Okay, so I've got that in there, and so if we click on the button, we want something to happen, right? Well, we want our level UI to go away, and then we need to go back to create level. Okay, so here let's go ahead and create a new event, and let's call this next level. Okay, so I've added that, and so here in our UI button to click, if somebody clicks on the button, we want to go to the next level. So let's go next level, and it's saying, hey, you don't have that transition added, so let's go ahead and add it. So next level, and then what we're going to do is just go back to create level. So in our create level, that's where we're generating the level. The other thing that we need to do is to make sure our UI is off. So I'm going to go ahead and in the create level, I'm going to go ahead and make sure the UI is off. Okay, so let's go, and we need to do an activate game object. So we'll go ahead and add that, and I'm going to add that right to the top of the list. Oops, not activate solo, activate game object. Let's just close all of these, move this to the top. So before I activate the next level, I want to make sure that my UI is turned off. So I'm going to go and take my UI, add that down, and then just uncheck so that it's off. So let's give this a test. So hopefully we have now a working level manager. So let's go ahead and turn this on. That should turn off our UI. And it does. And now you see we've got our level 3 loaded. So let's go ahead and give this a test. Boom, there we go. So we now have level complete. Now let's go ahead and click next level. And woo. Okay, so we have our level still in there. So what everything I think is working the way it needs to, but we have that level in there, and we need to get that level 3 out. So what we need to do is take our current level. Before we create a new level, we need to take the current level and then delete it. And so what I want to do is I want to have the current level be destroyed. Okay, so there's a couple different ways that we can do that. And I think the easiest way would be to go inside the level itself, and then on level complete, go ahead and destroy itself. So what we're going to do is after the send event by name, so level complete, let's go ahead and add one more state in here to destroy self. So let's go destroy self. And what I'm going to do is destroy self is one of my options. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in. So after level complete, let's go ahead and add a finished transition to destroy self. And then that should just destroy the level after it sends an event. Okay. So then we shouldn't need this anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this real quick. I'm gonna make sure I get this into my other levels that I've created as well. So here we are sending an event by name, which is saying, hey, level's complete. And then after you've done that, go ahead and destroy self. Get that in these, that way if I create new levels, it will already be in there, and then we won't have to worry about it. So let's add transition of finished. Okay, so after it sends an event to say, hey, level's complete, it destroys itself. So let's get that test real quick. So our UI gets turned off. We've added in a new level. And let me go and complete this level. We get our level complete UI, and then I need to create next level. Okay, so one of the problems I have is that my ball kind of like went off because the walls were no longer there to stop it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to also reset the ball. So let's go back to our scene. My ball is currently at a position of -2 and -3 on the Z. Let's go ahead and just in my level manager, make sure we reset the ball. Okay, so we need to do a couple things real quick. So we have our level so that we're loading in, and when we complete, our ball is still kind of moving. Because we're deleting the level, that ball now no longer has something to stop it. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and add that here in our level complete. So the first thing I want to do is to deactivate the ball. So I'm gonna go ahead and activate game object. Let's add that before our button. And we want to specify a game object, and we're going to specify the ball. So I'll just drag the ball down in, and we want to deactivate the ball. Okay, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and just copy that, and I'm going to add a new state here that I'm going to put after level complete before I go to start. So let's go to add state, and let's just call this reset ball. And then what we want to do here is we want to go ahead and reactivate the ball. So I deactivated it, now I want to reactivate it. And then I also want to set the translate to 0. So that's how we have our ball moving versus a velocity. So we're using translate. And I want to use, again, specify the ball as the game object that I want to translate. And get the ball down in there. And then I'm going to put nothing in as the vector, which stops it. And I'm going to uncheck per frame and every second. Okay. And then with that, I need to reset the position of the ball because we don't know where the user ended, where that level is, but we want to set it to, we want to reset it back to the original position. So the ball's current original position is -2, 0, -3. So that's where we want to reset the ball's position to. So let's go ahead and set position. And what is it we want to specify? We want to have that be the ball. And then I'm just going to uncheck these, and I want to set this in a position of -2, 0, and -3. And I don't need to choose every frame because we're only just doing this once. Okay, so here we have next level. Instead of going over to create level, we're going to go reset the ball. Then after we've reset the ball, let's go ahead and add a finished event and then go back to create level. And this should actually get us pretty close to where we need to be. So let's go ahead and play real quick. We've got our first level loaded up. And let's go and play this level. Boom, there we go. Our ball is now deactivated. And then once I hit the button, it should reset the ball position and make sure it's not moving, and then go back to create a new level. So let's do that, and there we go. And now I can keep playing, and it should be loading up random levels. Boom, there we go. Yeah. Then I can just go create a ton of different levels, and depending on how you want to set up your levels, if there's some kind of leveling system, there's like easy levels, medium levels, hard levels. There's a lot of different things that you can do. So there we go. So now we've got a whole cool leveling system. Hey, I know we created a lot of different stuff in this particular demo. We created a level manager, and with that we created a few levels, and then we're able to read those levels in. So now we have a complete level management system. And again, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and that little bell icon down there so you know when the next tutorial is available. Until next time, peace.